The stock I'm going to go with, we've talked about it, Chaos Crew favorite. That's
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic. We made it our mission to help you guys own it. So if you want to see more videos about the stock market, have some fun while doing it, make sure you're hitting that like, the subscribe, all that good stuff. And Fat Man Zoom, we have a very interesting topic today.
Yeah, we're talking about 3 reasons why we're bullish on the stock market. And we're also going to be talking about stocks we're putting on our watch list to benefit that move. 3 industries that we're excited about. A lot of people are talking about how there's a crash and worried about correction and freaking out, but we think this is only the beginning of a bullish market.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've gotten a lot of heat for this because I put out videos about how I'm bullish and I don't think there's going to be a crash this year. And I love this great quote by Josh Brown when he said that, you know, the gambler mentality is that you're going to play roulette, you hit black 5 times and automatically assume you're going to hit red on the 6th. And so I think, in my opinion, that's exactly some of the sentiments that a lot of people are having right now. And I just don't see how we have any kind of crash, and I still remain bullish on the year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And before we get into it, make sure you guys like and subscribe if you like this content. But let's get right into it. What's our first industry that we're looking at?
So for me, healthcare, I think, is going to lead a lot of this economy. And we've talked about this, but like the elective surgeries that have been put off, as well as some of the routine checkups and cancer screenings, all that stuff has kind of been put on the back burner because of COVID, and it's going to come roaring back. And in my opinion, we're already starting to see some really strong breakouts in the healthcare sector. I still think that there's plenty of room for this to go.
Yeah, and ISRG talked about this, about how now that COVID's freeing up, they're seeing a lot of revenue come in.
Yeah.
And so that is totally true, and they echoed those sentiments. So what stock are you looking at that's going on your watch list for this?
For me, it's got to be United Health. I think that when you look at the industry itself, why not just go with the best of the best instead of trying to fart around with like some of the biotech stuff? You know, you just never know where that's going to go. So I think that I'd rather just own the good ones. United Health is going to be a good one that's continuing to break out. And you look at the chart, it's still going off. But what do you got?
Yeah, so XLV to me is what I would say, the healthcare ETF, because we've both talked about the administration having a focus on healthcare. And so for those of you who just want exposure to it on a macro level, I think an ETF like this makes sense. Obviously, side shout out to my Clover stock. So that's the one I would do. The next industry is what?
It's going to be housing. And I think that housing is interesting because we've kind of been so conditioned as millennials that, whenever you see housing go up and there's kind of some of these issues with supply and stuff like that, that people automatically assume that we're due for another crash, that we just have a repeat. We have this post-distress disorder about, the 2008 crash and that it's going to repeat itself. I don't think we're in a bubble at all. I think the problem is that there's so much demand for housing and that there aren't houses to go around. And so I don't see this as a potential crash situation, unlike when we saw back in 2008 where we were just handing out loans to people who couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's an impending crash. I do think that values are getting a little bit crazy, but we can point to the supply-demand issue.
Right.
And so considering that, that should be in your consideration for the stock you're picking, which is what?
It's D.R. Horton. And when we look at something like a D.R. Horton, they are the home builder. So if there's going to be a company that's going to try to solve the supply issue, you're going to look at the home builders. And so they're continuing to branch out. We just heard from them on their earnings, and their revenue was up another 15%. Just crazy over the last 12 months how much they've actually shot up. It's going higher, Fat Man Zoom. They continue to do well as long as demand remains, which I think it will. We're starting to see this millennial generation earn more money. Their net wealth, their net wealth has gone up. So I think that this is a perfect time for them to want to continue to buy. We're seeing how suburbia is continuing to move out. D.R. Horton is going to continue to go up from here. Yeah,
I like that play. And for those of you who are a little bit worried about the housing market in general, if you are concerned, I would consider stocks that benefit whether it's a buyer's or a seller's market.
Yeah.
So you can consider that. The stock I'm looking at, I believe, is on discount, incredible discount, 50% off this year's highs. That's Open Door. And this stock and my last stock actually are really getting beat up because they're considered tech in the market.
Yeah.
But Open Door has the highest volume, revenues and gross margin of any of its competitors. And the bigger thing is that one of the most frustrating things for anybody who's ever bought a home is this idea of the process of everybody's got their hand in your pocket and everybody's digging in, and it's a painful process. Open Door's aiming to make that process easier. For that reason, that's the stock I really like.
I couldn't agree more with you, Fat Man Zoom. And before we get into the last industry as to why we are so bullish on the market and the economy in general, just want to invite you guys to check out the Chaos Crew of Fat Man Zoom. If you hit the join button next to subscribe for $4.99 a month, you get a watch list from us.
You don't say.
An in-depth watch list of 5 stocks every day before the market opens, and it gives you a snapshot of, or at least a direction. If you're having trouble trying to find what stocks to buy every day, this is going to help you out. It's $4.99 a month, $4.99 a month. Just skip a Starbucks for a day, and you can join the Chaos Crew. So we'd love to have you guys over there. Hit join, Fat Man Zoom.
And for the last industry for why we're bullish on the market is what?
It's going to be travel. And this is, I think, in my opinion, the most important industry that's going to really accelerate the economy because it affects so many other areas. And we're talking hospitality, small business, really everywhere is going to be impacted by travel. And you look at places like Alaska and some of the other ones that solely relied on vacationing and traveling and stuff like that as far as their economies are concerned. I think that this is where we really start to see a huge comeback. We've seen some of the earnings come in from the airliners, and they're all very positive. They're looking to be cash flow positive by June. We saw Delta and Southwest also said that. And the potential for demand to increase by threefold as compared to pre-pandemic levels is just mind-blowing to me. And I think that we are in for a huge boom in travel over the summer.
Yeah, and I think you could throw a dart at any sector and win in this. We've talked about cruise liners, airliners, all of that, and I think they stand to benefit. And we've encouraged the community to really try to be ahead of the trend here. So the sectors, I think they're all going to do really well. We've really focused on domestic travel, and Southwest just announced in their earnings this morning that in June, they should meet or exceed 2019 June levels, which is huge. And so what does that spell for the rest of the year? I think it's going to continue to build momentum, and we're going to see domestic travel at all-time highs. So with that said, what stock are you going to go with?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned domestic just because of all the pockets that we're seeing of increased COVID cases abroad. And so that's why I think that Google is going to be huge in this sector, and it's already moved up a ton. We're sitting close or near all-time highs on Google, but I think it's just getting started. So Alphabet Companies, formerly known as Google, I think is going to continue to roll. When you're looking for places to go, what are you going to do? You're going to use Google. When you're looking for a flight, you're going to use Google to get to the airliner website, what have you. You're going to Google Airbnb. You're probably not going to go straight to Airbnb unless you have the app, like I do. But stuff like that, hotels, all that. You're going to look for the best deals, and those companies pay Google to show up first in Google search. So I think that Google is going to continue to roll here. Travel, I think, in my opinion, is the most important to Alphabet right now.
Yeah, that's great, and I think it's such an underappreciated company. The stock I'm going to go with, we've talked about it, Chaos Crew favorite, that's Airbnb. And last week on CNBC, CEO Brian Chesky had an interesting quote that I wanted to pull, which was, he said, we think there's going to be a travel rebound coming that's unlike anything we've ever seen, Brad.
Yeah.
That's an incredible statement. And we've talked about Airbnb, and we've, from a social art perspective, we've been like, man, everything's selling out.
Yeah.
And he reaffirmed that. They have 4 million hosts. And he said they're not even close to meeting demand. They need millions more hosts just to meet that demand. It's 20% off of its highs.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Marriott and Hilton, its competitors, and they're near their all-time high, or they're near this year's highs. And so from that perspective, Airbnb has huge upside, and the tech aspect, I think that's pulling it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait till earnings at the end of the month, and I think I'm going to be handsomely rewarded at the end of May for those earnings.
Does it make you want to be a host right now?
No.
Let us know if it makes you want to be a host and what you guys think of these sectors. And if you feel like we've made a pretty compelling argument about the economy and the markets and where we think we're headed for the rest of the year.
Yeah, guys. Those are our 3 reasons why we're bullish on the market. If you guys have any stocks that you're bullish on with the market or any sentiments overall, make sure you drop them in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
That's going to do it for us. As always, we'll see y'all before the bell. B. Smith, Fat Man Zoom. We out.
Bye.